Hey everybody, it's Julie Herman from Indian Creek High School. I'm going to discuss with you my Miss in Agriculture unit that I use in my Intro to Ag class. In my introduction, I explained that we're going to be going through the common myths and buzzwords we see in the ag industry. Words we hear like organic, GMO, all natural, family farm versus corporate farms, cage-free and free range like we see with chickens and eggs. The students will use various terminology and decide if something is a myth or if it's the word is being used to get a reaction out of you as a consumer. Although not all of my students are going to be in agriculture in their future, it's important that they become at least educated consumers. I have students in my classroom in this Intro to Ag class that range from 9th to 12th grade. Most of them have minimal to little previous knowledge in agriculture. As they come from a rural area, they don't necessarily come from production agriculture. So they've seen these words in the grocery store, but not necessarily seen these words in something they use every day around the dinner table. They're all starting out at about the base level, which would be a great lesson and really involves their consumer knowledge and those basic agricultural skills. My standards I have here, my ELA standards, they talk about initiating and effectively collaborating in discussions, as well as presenting information and findings in their supporting evidence. My objectives, the students will be able to identify common buzzwords used in media regarding agriculture on the exam. The students will be able to fact check a news article on GMOs on their reflection sheet with 90% accuracy. And students will be able to explain the concept behind buzzwords in media presentations on the exam with 90% accuracy. I use the constructivist theory in most of my units. I enjoy it because it allows the learners to have an active process. They construct new ideas and concepts based on their knowledge. It allows them to create concepts uniquely to them. And I think that's great because they start to create concepts that I never imagined, nor would they have ever imagined. I also use the PBL, the project learning. This is a teaching method which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to a question or a challenge. I love challenging my students. I can see how a student would take a concept and make it into their own during this learning. It really enhances their learning because they're doing. They physically have to make something, and my kids really respond to that. My technologies that I use mainly is Google Slides. We use this in 2 spots throughout the lesson. We do Miss in Agriculture notes as well as organic versus non-organic notes. I think it really adds to their note process because they're able to link it directly to their Google Drive, which means there is no I lost them or I forgot them. There's constant access to their notes, whether they're at home or at school. And I think having that connection really enhances their learning. Additional things we'll use, Google Docs, Google Drawings, student and teacher Chromebooks, and then our classroom projector. So day 1, as we jump into the lesson, we do notes via Google Slides on their Chromebooks. Then we'll do what I call the stand-up activity. They will get a survey in front of them with 15 questions, and they have to answer yes or no. It's silent, so they make their own answers. They don't discuss them and then answer. So I have all the students that answered yes to each question stand up, and all the remaining sit down. All this does is it gives the kids an idea of who answered what. Then as we pull together as a class discussion, we go over the results and discuss all their differing opinions because they all have a very, very different opinion, and it's all based on that previous knowledge. This is the sample of day 1 notes. We talk about a buzzword, what does it mean for us in ag, and what does it mean for us as consumers? And why do we think this works so well on us? Day 2 is fact-checking articles. I will give the students 3 to 4 articles spread throughout the room. I have them in pods, so I try and give them all different articles. Some will be pro-organic, some will be pro-GMO, pro-agriculture, and some will definitely oppose American agriculture. So they'll read the article, they'll have 2 highlighters. One will be for facts, one is for opinions. Then they'll create a reflection sheet reviewing that article and its bias or non-bias. The students will understand what that means as we go through. Then they'll be asked to break into their like article groups and discuss their views and thoughts together. Then we'll come together again as a class discussion, and I'll have a student from each group explain their article and what they thought. This gives the other groups an idea of what else was out there. Day 3 is my favorite day. We do notes on the slide to discuss organic and non-organic crops. Then we do a sampling activity. They'll have 14 samples throughout the room. They'll have 7 actual samples. So there'll be carrots, crackers, cereal, whatever it may be. They'll be asked to comment on the visual aspect first, then the touch aspect, and finally they'll be asked to taste each sample and write comments. Then they have to choose. They'll have 2 samples of carrots. One is organic, one is non-organic, and they'll have to choose. When we get done, we'll come together as a group, sample, and what the actual results were. We'll have a discussion, ask the students to share their own opinions. This is a sample of what I use. You see visual characteristics, taste characteristics, and then they have to circle whether sample 1 or 2 is organic or non-organic. There is one of each, so they do know that when they go in. Day 4, we start our debate. Organic versus non-organic debate. I break kids into 2 groups and form 2 debate teams on the lifestyles. One team will be an organic lifestyle, one will be a non-organic lifestyle. They'll learn each side of the debate because they have to look up what that other group might bring up and how they can rebuttal that to persuade them on their side. They'll have an organizer for points and they'll have to hit during their time frame. They are allowed to use the organizer, which makes it a lot easier and it makes it run smoother. And that will allow them to really assign points to each student to make sure they hit their required talking points. Day 5 is the big debate day. They come in ready. They come in with their organizers ready. They've practiced. They have their opening and closing their opening and closing debates ready. And they're ready to discuss. They will do the rebuttal discussions on the fly with their previous knowledge and what they've learned. And then they complete a reflection worksheet at the end. Class discussion and then a wrap-up. We'll discuss as a class just the points they made, what we disagreed with, what we agreed with, and then how much information and what was factual information provided during their debate. Day 6 is the review day. Students complete a class Kahoot session over the unit. And then I leave time for a question and answer. I give them options if they want to ask questions, if they want me to reteach something that they're confused about, whatever. This will help serve as a review for them. Day 7 is exam day. This will be graded and given back as a form of feedback for the students also. The mixed abilities, I have one that's called Talk Typer. It's a speak-to-type technology. It's for students who have issues typing. Students who need help in typing department can speak to their computer and it will submit text based on their voice. Second option is Read Speaker. Students can type to help them through the speaking portions of our class, the discussions and debate. They can type into their computer and it will read out loud what they wish to say of the debate. This isn't for kids that are just scared of public speaking. This is if they actually have a concern or issue with the speaking portion. And then the last one is Snap and Read. If a student's struggling in reading, the extension can be used to replace the silent read with an option for the computer to do a read aloud situation. It allows them to listen and comprehend differently, and it can help them complete their classwork. This is the student belief survey that I was talking about. You see the yes/no answers. You see 1 through 15 there. Online digital content. This online resource is a shared doc. It helps students if they need additional help. Basically, it's this PowerPoint put into a document. It has the sample artifacts. It has my objectives. And then it has a couple articles if they just want to read more. Conceptual categorization. I put this in the substitution standpoint. The students are essentially doing the same thing. They're doing the same project, worksheet, debate, notes, everything like that, that they can do without technology. But with the technology, it makes it so much easier and more efficient. Without technology, the researching, the implementing would just be so much harder with the debate. and finding the articles and things like that. The summative evaluation to assess learning. They're asked questions throughout the duration of their lesson. So I ask questions during their discussion, etc. They're also assessed on their notes, article fact-checking, and reflections, their judging assessment, reflections, their debate, their final exam. They'll have lots of feedback before we get to that exam time. And then the effectiveness of my unit in design, I have a survey on the back of their test. They'll be able to complete it on the last day of the unit, which will give them honest and upfront answers to me on how effective it was and what they would change throughout the process. These are my references. We see here the constructivist theory reference and then the project-based learning reference. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I'm really excited to implement this in my classroom.